Tonight, lifting the weight, the next wave giving South Australians reason to rejoice as the second phase of returning to normality is brought forward. Astonishing claims shed more light on the carer at the heart of the police probe into the abhorrent neglect of Anne-Marie Smith. An accused murderer fronts the law as resentment grows towards the notorious housing block where police discovered the grisly scene. And touch and go contact training allowed as the AFL fixture that almost didn't eventuate finally appears.
This is 10 News First Adelaide with Rebecca Morse.
Good evening. The next stage of easing restrictions has been fast-tracked. From next Monday, South Australian life will begin to feel a lot more normal. Chloe, what's changing?
Oh, Beck, it'll be a big boost for some industries like hospitality and a welcome back for other industries. So there'll be a radical increase in the number of patrons allowed at pubs, cafes and they were shut down in March. 50 people will be allowed at funerals, and there'll also be a transition back to sport, training and competitions. Here at the Havelock Hotel on Hutt Street, staff are frantically preparing to welcome 10 people inside from tomorrow, but now the phone is off the hook. It keeps ringing, people trying to book in big groups for next week when pubs will be allowed to seat up to 80 people.
Tucking in and tucked away, the Caledonian will be far more lively from next Monday when they can serve alcohol to seated patrons without a meal as stage 2 of the restriction rollback is served.
Originally from the 8th of June to the 5th of June, it's now going to be brought forward to next Monday.
All sectors opening in stage 2, including beauty salons, gyms and cinemas, will be allowed to have 20 people per room, 80 in total, as long as they maintain the 1 person per 4 square metre rule and social distancing.
Now, those defined rooms may be temporary rooms or temporary walls that are established so that they can increase the number of patrons they have at any one time.
That would enable us to get back to maybe a third of the sort of business that we were doing before, so not everything, but at this point in time, anything that we can do is fantastic.
Businesses are obligated to sign compliance paperwork prior to opening. Police will be checking.
The most important thing businesses need to do is go to the sa.gov.au website under COVID-19, download the principals document, the COVID Safe Plan, and fill in that plan and have it available for production to a police officer or other authorised officer.
Also from Monday, outdoor sports can resume contact training and non-contact competitions. That will be the case for indoor sports from June 25th.
This is only possible because of the continuing very, very good results in terms of no or low cases and, of course, the high level of testing.
This will bring South Australia a little more in line with other states, but authorities say that did not play a factor in influencing their decision to bring stage 2 forward.
Thank you to Chloe Boris. Parliament has heard the carer of disabled woman Anne-Marie Smith was only officially cleared to work with vulnerable people after Ms Smith had died. The committee also hearing the woman had previously been banned from another government agency.
A lot of questions about the sickening death of Anne-Marie Smith, but not many answers until today.
There has clearly been safeguarding failures for Anne-Marie, and these may have occurred over a number of years.
A parliamentary committee hearing bombshell revelations, including that carer Rosemary Mayoni didn't receive a government clearance to work with vulnerable people until after the death of her client of 6 years. Anne-Marie Smith died in hospital on April 6 after being found in what police described as degrading and disgusting conditions. 9 days later, Ms Mayoni applied for the government clearance. That was rubber stamped, then revoked, only after Major Crime announced a manslaughter investigation. The application submitted and paid for by her employer, Integrity Care SA.
The community is absolutely horrified and sickened by what has happened to this woman living with disability.
The department today confirming Ms Mayoni was her sole carer.
The circumstances of this are the first that we've ever heard of such a thing happening, which is where one person was the only person providing care to somebody who needed 7 days a week care.
The committee also heard that the carer was sacked by another government agency back in 2013 after being accused of stealing from her vulnerable clients, but that was never reported to police.
And it's only come to light as a result of the committee hearing today. We don't know what else, the public's not being informed about this, and we don't know what else other details the government knew or didn't know.
I've basically heard the full details of this when I've come out of Cabinet today.
Police, coronial, state and federal inquiries into the case are currently underway. Hannah Ford for 10 News First.
A man has faced court charged with a murder at a notorious housing estate in Adelaide's Inner East. The state government says it's acting to protect long-suffering neighbours who've lived in fear for years. Kate Summers reports.
The 46-year-old man called out twice during the brief hearing, which he appeared in on a video link from the City Watch House. The man, who a suppression order prevents us from identifying, is charged with the murder of a 63-year-old resident at a Gilberton block of units on Saturday. Police were called to the Mellor Court housing estate in James Street at 9:30 p.m. to reports of a serious assault. The older man was pronounced dead at the scene. Crime has been an ongoing problem for residents, with a woman dying after being stabbed at the same units in 2017. Many locals have also complained of antisocial behaviour, theft and drug dealing, and say they live in fear. Police and the state government say they are addressing their concerns.
The state government has committed $2.8 million to upgrading the facilities at Mellor Court, to upgrade areas like the security arrangements there, so there is something which is underway at the moment. That's part of that stimulus package.
The accused man made no application for release on bail. The magistrate will call the matter on tomorrow to consider current suppressions on the deceased and defendants' names.
Thank you, Kate. Police in Brisbane are investigating the death of a 4-year-old girl. Her body was found at a home around 9:30 this morning. A crime scene was set up and forensic officers have spent the day investigating.
All of a sudden I looked down, there's 1, 2, 3, count about 10 cop cars fly in, a few ambos, maybe 4 or 5, and it just left me questions.
Police have so far refused to shed light on the death, and it isn't clear if any arrests have been made. Australia's devastated tourism industry could be in line for more federal government support. The Treasurer has hinted it could benefit from the $60 billion accounting error in JobKeeper payments, but he rules out using the program to help other struggling industries.
Keeping up with the Morrison ministry has been chaotic these past few days.
I didn't use any expletives.
The economic team hustling hard to explain the $60 billion JobKeeper blunder.
That health miracle has had a real economic benefit.
Well, I mean, firstly, it was an estimate.
They incorrectly filled in a form.
But at the end of the day...
And of course, I take responsibility for the estimates variation.
The estimated cost of the program has been nearly halved, from $130 billion to about $70 billion.
The biggest error made in any budget by any government at any point.
It means the actual number of workers receiving support is closer to 3.5 million, not 6.5 million initially touted by the government.
Because of this stuff up, there is now absolutely no excuse to exclude workers at Australian universities from getting access to JobKeeper payments.
But the program won't be expanded.
There is no money to be reallocated.
Be brutal about it. It's like finding out you've got an extra $20,000 on your credit card. You just say, oh, beauty, I'll go out and buy a heap of good electrical goods and clothes, and this money's got to be paid back.
There are, however, positive signs for the struggling tourism industry.
The tourism sector could be one sector that's going to be in need of further support, and that's what we will look at.
New figures also show 1/3 of those accessing their superannuation early are under the age of 30.
The government is in many ways robbing them of a decent retirement.
The Prime Minister will address the National Press Club tomorrow, where he's expected to outline how he plans to get the economy out of intensive care through reforms to skills and industrial relations. and reiterate the government won't borrow from future generations what it can't return in higher standards of living. Tegan George for 10 News First.
Geelong midfielder Jack Steven returned to training today, little more than a week after the stabbing incident that landed him in hospital. The star recruit was all smiles as he took a stroll several times around Cardinia Park. The exact circumstances surrounding the stabbing remain unknown.
How is the recovery?
Yeah, I'm fine. So just looking forward to getting back out there and mucking around.
It's still unclear if Steven will be ruled fit to play in round 2. A police investigation into the stabbing is ongoing. Speaking of round 2, Will Goodings is here with We've got some clarity on the AFL.
Yeah, we finally know when it's happening, Beck. A round 2 showdown is locked in for Saturday night, June 13th. The AFL released a 4-week fixture block today after weeks of back and forth with our state government. The players continue building towards that clash with a return to contact training today following the showdown. Both SA teams will face 3 weeks of games in Queensland. There is still a chance the state government might allow the Power and Crows to fly in and fly out by the time the season commences. But the AFL is still expecting a 3-week hub on the Gold Coast will occur, regardless of exemptions allowed between now and then.
The plan at the moment is certainly to leave them in Queensland for that period, and we need to create some certainty. What it does do, though, is we know that they're only there for the 4-week period if those regulations do change, and we can quickly move to scheduling them back in their home state.
So after months of speculation, Beck, we finally know when footy will be back, and we'll have more to talk about later in sport.
3 weeks on the Goldie doesn't sound too bad, does it?
It's the worst places to spend your time.
Thank you, Will. Well, it's an apparent summer vacation in the US after the break party snap, showing a total disregard for social distancing. Plus, across the Tasman, where an earthquake, and not just the questions, can have a PM shaking in their boots. Plus, ahead, powering down remarkable pictures as one of the nation's biggest electricity providers is reduced to rubble.
The good old MasterChef relay.
It'll be the toughest team relay ever attempted.
We're doing 2 dishes instead of 1.
You must keep a safe distance from each other at all times.
It's not going to be easy.
Oh my God. I can't believe I've done this. I've cut my little finger. Oh, this is not good. This is not good.
The toughest team relay. 7:30 tonight on 10.
And MasterChef's greatest ever dish is coming.
Meet the revolutionary Sleeping Duck mattress taking Australia by storm. It's the next generation mattress reimagined by aerospace engineers, making history. Choices, best overall mattress, 2 years in a row. That's Sleeping Duck, one giant leap for your sleep.
Oh, how good's this?
Take out a home loan with HomeStart and you can get a starter loan. That's up to $10,000 to help with upfront fees like stamp duty.
Sweet!
Join the 75,000 South Australians HomeStart have helped get into their own home sooner.
Introducing Jumpstart by Light and Easy, the simple program that will help fast-track your weight loss success and improve your health.
Within those first couple of weeks, I noticed a difference within myself.
I found results straight away, and for me, Light and Easy has been life-changing.
Jumpstart combines the proven weight loss results of intermittent eating with Light and Easy's delicious, nutritious meal plans. Whether your goal is to jumpstart your weight loss or to simply eat well and improve your health, visit lightandeasy.com.au today.
Enhance your home with blinds from Dynamic Home Enhancements. Dynamic offer the ultimate blind solution for any outdoor area. Call Dynamic today and get 33% off your blinds. Plus free installation. Plus get no deposit, interest-free finance. And seniors get an extra 10% off. Call Dynamic now to enhance your home, add value and save on your blinds.
Dynamic Home Enhancements.
Don't miss a moment. New by Solven Duo Syrup is a 2-in-1 formula traditionally used to soothe an irritated throat and relieve an associated dry cough. By Solven Duo. Moments uninterrupted. Available at selected retailers.
Tonight, Hayley, Mick and Anne are ready to rumble with Ed and Sam on New Have You Been Paying Attention?
Tonight we chat to the RFS after the Supreme Court ruled where the $51 million raised by comedian Celeste Barber can be spent.
Students head back to school in some states, so what can be done to make sure no kids are left behind?
And we take a look at the safety measures some workplaces will introduce to their officers post-lockdown. Experts recommend a total bonk ban at work. Please respect the new rules, Waleed.
Haven't said that for the past 5 years. All that and more coming up at 6:30.
That includes thinking about it.
Chaos within the UK government. Boris Johnson has been forced to defend his top advisor, who's accused of travelling across England and visiting a castle during lockdown. Dominic Cummings faces a police investigation as scientists and the PM's own political allies turn on him for backing the rule breaker. Europe correspondent Phoebe Bowden from London.
Arriving at the UK Prime Minister's office in track pants, Dominic Cummings wasn't dressed to impress as his boss jumps through hoops to save his prized advisor.
He behaved responsibly and correctly.
But few believe that. Dominic Cummings, who masterminded Brexit, a thumping election victory, and the UK's lockdown, left his London home during the height of the pandemic to stay at his parents' sprawling country estate, a 4-hour drive from London.
Did you offer to resign, Mr Cummings? Have you undermined the government's message?
He says it was for his kids.
On looking at the very severe childcare difficulties that presented themselves to Dominic Cummings and his family, I think that what they did was totally understandable.
He's offering no apology.
Why are you guys not social distancing?
A stickler for the rules now, he's also accused of travelling to visit this castle for his wife's birthday, all while 66 million other Brits are banned from visiting loved ones or saying farewell to dying relatives.
You must stay at home.
Protesters played Boris Johnson's stay-at-home message outside Mr Cummings' residence. The UK Civil Service account tweeted, then deleted. Arrogant and offensive. Can you imagine having to work with these truth twisters?
If I were Prime Minister, I'd have sacked Cummings.
Boris Johnson's strong support for Dominic Cummings shows just how powerful a man he is here at Downing Street, but it's done nothing to take the heat out of this crisis. The police are now investigating an official complaint about the breach of the lockdown laws, as the death toll from the virus itself climbs towards 37,000 here in the UK. Phoebe Bowden for 10 News First, London.
Thousands of American holidaymakers have marked the start of summer with huge parties appearing to ignore social distancing. Pool parties in the Ozarks and beaches up and down the coast were packed, while in Daytona, police had to break up a street party after people started throwing money from this white car. President Trump took to the golf course again, making it clear he will not shut the country down again.
Would I shut it down again? No, because we understand it now much better. We didn't know anything about it.
On the day meant to be for those who've served America in war, one Vietnam vet was brought to tears by a socially distant parade in his honour. Much of New Zealand has been shaken by a large earthquake, throwing stock from shelves and even slightly rattling the Prime Minister. Jacinda Ardern was in the Beehive and live on TV when the 5.8 magnitude quake struck.
We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here.
All right.
But if you see things moving behind me...
Has it stopped,
The
Prime
Beehive
Minister?
moves a little more than most.
Has it stopped, Prime Minister, or is it still going?
The quake was centred north of Wellington and was quickly followed by 4 aftershocks. Well, Adelaide has shivered through our coldest pair of days of the year, and Kate Freeman, you found a warm spot for tonight's weather.
Well, Beck, temperatures right around South Australia are about 5 degrees colder than average for this time of year. And this morning, Adelaide hit 4 degrees. This afternoon, our top was just 14.7. So to beat the chill, I've headed to Wilmot's Pantry, which is a lovely, cosy spot on Kensington Road. It's next to Orso Restaurant, which isn't opening for dining until the long weekend, but they're both doing a huge trade of their takeaways and heat and eat. Restaurant quality food to serve up at home. Plus, Wilmot's boxes stocked up with small goods to stock up your own pantries with beautiful produce. One of the perks of these last few months is that takeaway has gone to a whole new level, and with the cold weather we've had, there's nothing quite like a good meal in on a cold night. If you're not quite ready for the cold, wintry weather just yet, good news for you. It is slowly warming up this week, so by Friday we're looking at a sunny top of 19 degrees for Adelaide and Beck. That is something to look forward to.
I will take that. Thank you, Kate. Catch you a bit later on. Why younger Australians and men are the most likely to dip into their super, that's up next. Plus the crucial medical advice to diabetics about daily blood tests. While ahead, hopes of flying high for a conservation success story rising from the ashes on Kangaroo Island.
Sometimes an answer is there 1 minute and gone the next.
Glenn, how have you been coping with lockdown?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, let's see what Nick, Hayley and Anne have to say with Ed and Sam on New Have You Been Paying Attention tonight.
Different is making rather than buying, and saving rather than discarding. Embrace different and find the glad in it.
Over 20 years, you've been fighting to save people money on their car and home insurance! Who are you?
Budget Direct, helping Australians save on insurance.
There you go, Swagger.
Steve? Domino's is bringing New York to your living room with the new Tastier New Yorker range. Now with even more authentic ingredients like huge pepperoni, chunkier tomato sauce and a thinner New York crust. Try one from just $19.95 delivered from Domino's.
When did life start to move this quickly? Somehow we made it to 6:30 p.m. with no real idea where our 9-to-5s went. Isn't it time to rethink our approach and explore solutions that stretch beyond the medicine cabinet? See, at Panadol, we're making it our mission to help more Australians focus on staying well. Sure, it's a big conversation to have, but now's the time to start. Together, let's rethink care.
What a peanut.
Oh, the poor thing. Should we break the window?
OK, Dan, you know the drill. No, we don't stop there, Dan. This is new Up and Go No Added Sugar. The goodness of original Up and Go, only now available with no added sugar. Now we're talking, Dan. Now we're talking. New Up and Go No Added Sugar. It's next level goodness.
In the universe, stars are born every day. Just like in Compton, Western Victoria, where for over 93 years, we've created not just butter, but a star. Western Star. More than butter.
It's the toughest tin relay. And for the first time in the MasterChef kitchen.
You must keep a safe distance from each other.
From military man to muse, the Soldier stripping down in the name of art. And our germ expose.
Germs and viruses can stay on surfaces for days on end.
Too small to see and too fast to stop. What you need to know to protect your family.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow on Studio 10.
It was a policy supposed to help us get through COVID-19, and we now have a better idea of exactly who is withdrawing the most money from their super. Concerningly, it is a lot of young people, and that means it could cost them tens of thousands of dollars in retirement. So far, about $10.6 billion has been paid out, and of the 1.59 million applications received by the ATO, the majority have been accepted. The average amount accessed is just over $7,500 out of a maximum $10,000 this financial year, and men are taking out the most, about 40% or $2 billion more than women. And that makes sense when we look at the difference in accounts. Men have about $333,000 in super compared to $245,000 for women at the age of 55 to 64. But one of the most shocking statistics, as we mentioned, were young people the most likely to take out money, under 35 accounting for half of all claims. Let's take a look at the share market now. It's a strong performance across the board today. The ASX 200 finishing up about 2.16%. The travel sector was among the high flyers after the Treasurer hinted at some extra support for the tourism sector. Webjet and Flight Centre both up by about 15%. Afterpay surged too, and three of the big banks had strong gains. CBA was the worst performer of the four, but still ended in the green. Taking a look at the dollar now, the currency market isn't moving too much, but right now the Australian dollar is buying 65.2 US cents.
Medical studies reveal type 2 diabetics are at a dramatically higher risk of developing deadly cancers and dementia. It's prompted a warning to patients not to skip blood tests or visits to the doctor.
Robert Miller has always been vigilant about keeping his type 2 diabetes under control.
My father had diabetes and he didn't look after himself and unfortunately had to have both legs amputated below the knee.
But the real wake-up call came 3 years ago when the 79-year-old grandfather was diagnosed with bowel cancer.
You could have it out, or if you left it in, you'd be dead in 6 months. That was the diagnosis.
A study of more than 2 million people reveals the ever-expanding list of conditions that type 2 diabetics are susceptible to. They're 60% more likely to develop dementia and face an alarming risk of cancer, including a 300% higher chance of pancreatic cancer and a 200% increased likelihood of liver cancer.
Cancer cells use a lot of sugar, a lot of glucose. And so in people with diabetes, the sugar levels are high, and so there's lots of fuel around for those cancer cells to grow more rapidly.
Doctors say regular checkups can be life-saving, and they've warned patients not to skip or delay medical appointments during the coronavirus pandemic.
We need to keep these things going, otherwise we'll pay the price next year.
Mr. Miller had surgery to remove his cancer and is now even more focused on staying healthy with a good diet and plenty of exercise.
You just assume you're going to be healthy, and it's not until, to use your good word, that wake-up call arrives that you realise that you can't take it for granted and you have to be proactive.
Estelle Lewis for 10 News First.
The devastating decision not to award millions raised to the bushfire victims comedian Celeste Barber intended. That's up next. Plus, the local professor taking a jab at those dismissing claims COVID-19 could have started in a lab. And plans altered so Adelaide's Catholics can tune in to see the new Archbishop installed.
It's the toughest Tim relay ever attempted.
We're doing 2 dishes instead of 1.
And for the first time in the MasterChef kitchen.
You must keep a safe distance from each other at all times.
It's not going to be easy.
The toughest Tim relay, tonight on 10.
You can have control here, but can you control the entertainment here? With rain-sensing smart technology and full remote, the control is in your hands with Louver House. Our free LED lighting offer is on now, so contact Louver House today.
It's interesting what happens when you treat every little piece of a thing like it's not just one thing, but everything. Because when each part does everything better than ever, imagine what you can do with the sum of those parts. The new Dell XPS.
Every day, 15,000 children die needlessly. Chikora could die from just one mouthful of filthy water. Dangerously underweight Farouk won't eat tonight. Without help, he will die. It really doesn't have to be this way. Save the Children is on the ground, delivering medicine, food, and clean water. By calling or going to our website and giving just $10 a month, you could help save children's lives.
Adelaide Exchange Jewellers Revival Sale. You won't buy better. With discounts up to 30% on most jewellery and weighted gold from just $40 a gram. It's time to shine and put some sparkle back into your life. Adelaide Exchange Jewellers.
Introducing Jumpstart by Light and Easy, the simple program that will help fast-track your weight loss success, improve your health and have your taste buds jumping for joy. Jumpstart your weight loss and health goals today with Light and Easy.
There are two ways to choose a new SUV. Old thinking, buy what you've always bought. New thinking, buy one on merit like the Haval H2. Old, pay a lot more for premium features. New, 7-year warranty, panoramic sunroof, Apple CarPlay and more for your money. Old, low price means less quality. New, German engineering, Swedish safety tech and European design. Haval H2 Auto, new car thinking from $22,990. Test drive today at Adelaide City Haval.
We're all in this together.
Your family and mine working side by side to support South Aussie businesses.
Show your support for local brands by shopping for them at Drake's, your South Aussie family-owned supermarket.
We all really appreciate your support.
They can clear our nose and soothe our throat, but they will never relieve our cough.
No, Willie. Vicks Vapor Drops.
Willie, I'm in the middle of something here.
Willie! Vicks Vapor Drops plus cough can relieve our cough now. Move along. Nothing to see here. Vicks Vapor Drops plus cough.
Tonight, Hayley, Mick and Anne are ready to rumble with Ed and Sam on New Have You Been Paying Attention?
This is Adelaide's 10 News First. Tonight's headlines. Bombshell claims in Parliament that the carer of Anne-Marie Smith was only officially cleared to work with vulnerable people after Ms Smith's horrific death. An accused murderer has fronted court as the state government weighs in on the future of the notorious housing block where police made the grisly discovery. And stage 2 of lifting restrictions has been brought forward to Monday, allowing more diners in venues while gyms and beauty salons can open. An Adelaide scientist has sparked controversy, saying there could be some truth to theories that COVID-19 originated in a Chinese laboratory. His local team is leading the Australian race on a vaccine, which is just weeks away from human trials.
A tiny bottle that could carry the hopes of billions of people.
In a sense, it stops the virus in its tracks and stops it infecting us.
Adelaide professor Nikolai Petrovsky is preparing to test his vaccine Covax-19 on 75 volunteers during the coming weeks. He hopes it will induce an immune response, preventing the infection from taking hold.
Very good results in the animal studies. We're inducing high levels of antibodies against the COVID-19 virus.
The vaccine's based on one his company developed for the earlier SARS virus. The professor's also making headlines for suggesting the possibility of the virus originating in a lab.
It was perfectly adapted to affect humans from day one. And that's not the typical scenario that we see with a pandemic virus.
A theory that's ruled out by governments across the world, including our own.
As to the precise origins of transfer, well, that's for the disease detectives, but our overwhelming advice is that it likely came from animals to humans.
Humans won't be exposed to the virus during this clinical trial, and their blood test results will return in a few months. Even if the vaccine does prove successful in combating the coronavirus, researchers say it can't be mass-produced until early next year. The government's cheering him every step of the way.
And we've got huge expertise here in South Australia in a number of different domains that we're lending our weight to the world effort. I certainly wish the people at Flinders every success.
Cam Inglis for 10 News First.
Adelaide's Catholic community finally has a new Archbishop, years after the resignation of Philip Wilson. It was just a small service to install Archbishop Patrick O'Regan, with restrictions meaning most were only able to watch the ceremony streamed online.
After a knock at the door, St Francis Xavier's Cathedral welcomes Adelaide's newest Archbishop. COVID-19 meant only 30 people were allowed, 6,000 watched online and others gathered outside.
We were not among the guests that were permitted inside, so we just came outside to rejoice.
Inside, the city's newest Catholic leader, Archbishop Patrick O'Regan, moved to tears, proving he too isn't immune to the impact of restrictions.
I would like to acknowledge my family. I'd love that you would have been able to be here.
Hailing from New South Wales, Archbishop O'Regan is looking forward to exploring his new home.
Learning the different characteristics of what Adelaide is, the history, and seeing what contribution then I could make.
Adelaide has been without a Catholic archbishop since the resignation of Philip Wilson in 2018, convicted of concealing child sex abuse but later overturned. Archbishop O'Regan says it's too early to tell whether the church's reputation can recover from years of scandals.
A difficult question, because I don't know. Because, we've got to wait till the verdict of history.
As the church continues to adapt, from tomorrow Mass will be held 5 times a day with only 10 worshippers allowed at a time. On Sunday though, the service will continue to be live streamed only. Caroline O'Day for 10 News First.
It was one of the enduring memories of a terrible summer. Australians digging deep to help the victims of the bushfires. But today it was decided more than $50 million raised by comedian Celeste Barber will not go where many of her donors expected.
Celeste Barber has always believed in people power.
We need to look after each other.
But no number of people could have changed today's decision, because the moment she chose the New South Wales Rural Fire Service as the recipient of her multi-million-dollar fundraising effort, it was bound by law. The comedian raised more than $51 million to help those hit by Australia's deadly summer of bushfires.
It's so much money. It's so much money.
But her millions of online followers saw her attract donations from all over the world, so she widened the net, pledging money to South Australian and Victorian volunteers, wildlife organisations and to those families who'd lost everything.
We're going to keep pushing. Let's get more money for them because they are going to disperse it in such an incredible way.
But rules governing the RFS Trust, she later realised, meant it could only be spent on in-house resources and training.
I'm all like, let's just kind of give it to all these different places. Turns out it's not that easy because there's laws or something involved.
So the trustees went to the Supreme Court to ask if the money could go to other charities, firefighting services in other Australian states and territories that would provide relief to people and animals impacted by the fires.
The court answers that question no.
What it can be spent on is supporting injured firefighters or the families of those killed on duty, physical and mental health training and resources, and to help volunteers and brigades upskill.
When you start talking about helmets maybe worth something like $200 and you've got 70,000 people, it takes a lot of money up, and things like respiratory protection.
Justice Michael Slattery described Celeste as a spirited citizen whose appeal was a spectacular success. But in another blow to those who dug deep, the charity fund will need to be used to cover the legal costs of the RFS and the Attorney General that were incurred while making this decision.
Friendly reminder, comedian that raised money, not lawyer, politician, accountant lady that is the boss of the world.
The lessons learned in that horror bushfire season that will better equip everyone in the future. Kimberly Pratt for 10 News First.
Today marked the end of an era at one of Australia's biggest power stations, with demolition experts toppling the chimneys at Victoria's Hazelwood Power Station. It was decommissioned 3 years ago, but for half a century, Hazelwood provided a quarter of that state's electricity. Well, 5 months on from the destructive fires that tore across Kangaroo Island, native vegetation is making a comeback. It's given wildlife volunteers new hope for endangered animal populations that some thought may never recover.
The charred landscape stretches for hundreds of kilometres across Kangaroo Island, but if you listen closely, you can hear sounds of new life. Wildlife volunteers have been working for months to support struggling native animals to survive, and their hard work is paying off. The endangered glossy black cockatoo is bouncing back. 23 new chicks have been spotted in nesting boxes.
It's fantastic to see, after everything that's happened on Kangaroo Island, that cockatoos are so far successfully raising some chicks.
It's estimated just 370 of the glossy black cockatoos called the island home before the bushfires, sparking fears the species would be wiped out in the disaster. The next challenge is ensuring there's enough food to sustain the hungry new arrivals.
So we will have to look at different avenues of finding food for these birds. That may include supplementary feeding.
But for others, the free feed is coming to an end. The RSPCA is winding back some of its feeding stations on the island as high rainfall helps native vegetation to regenerate. Nature's Pantry is open again, and kangaroos, wallabies and goannas are returning to forage for themselves.
It's absolutely a joy to see the island regenerate after such a shocking time that it's been through, and to see the wildlife now starting to survive on its own.
Taylor Ryan for 10 News First.
Well, Goodings is back. We're going to find out whether 13's a lucky number for Crows or the Port.
Yeah, we certainly will, Beck. June 13th is Showdown Day. We'll have all the key dates on the AFL's return to play shortly. Both teams hit the track and each other today in a return to full contact training. And the unlikely European Football League keeping fans entertained right to the end of a dramatic cup final.
Why the MasterChef judges weren't hooked on Tracy's fish dish next.
It's the show that turns headlines into punchlines.
Kitty, how did you know to wear the same fabric as Malcolm's curtain?
So, for the biggest laughs on TV...
Can I just have the answer, Tom?
It's going to be a long season, folks.
Make sure you're paying attention tonight.
Every tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream starts with 4 simple ingredients, with a selection of the finest flavours, creating a decadent, velvety ice cream. Haagen-Dazs. Take home extraordinary tonight.
Someone save me! If you're gonna wear a red lip, commit to it. Not the guy, the lip.
Somebody, come on.
What are you doing this weekend? Just the usual.
Anaconda is your one-stop outdoor adventure store where you can play more and pay less.
Anaconda!
I can remember the doctor coming in, better say goodbye to him, Your whole life stops.
They told us to say goodbye to him. And that was a tough day, but he came back. It's changed a lot since Red's had the stroke. The support we get from ECH has just been tremendous. To have that extra help has helped us for him to be able to stay home.
60,000 Australians are living with blood cancer, like leukemia, lymphoma or myeloma. The Leukemia Foundation is committed to ensuring people living with blood cancer and their families receive the support they need. Someone to talk to, a place to stay close to hospital, and transport to and from treatment. If you or someone you love is impacted by blood cancer, please contact the Leukemia Foundation via leukemia.org.au. Proudly supported by Bridgestone.
Great food lives in Foodland. The mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Want to sell something for instant cash? We're open.
Looking to buy from a huge range of quality second-hand goods for less? We're open. Cash Converters. Find us online or visit us in store.
Unpolished beauty. It defines our country. And at Stratco, it's what we do. Custom crafting, roofing and cladding solutions for remarkable Australian homes. Colorbond Steel's stunning matte finish. Brought to life by Stratco How To.
At UE, we're all about how you use or don't use your car. But right now, most people who usually drive to work aren't. Most people who work from home are driving even less, and most retirees and commuters are homebound. If you are using your car less, we'd like to give you temporary relief on your car insurance premiums. UE clients, go to our website, follow the prompts, and your saving will be applied. Shopping around for car insurance? The same relief applies to you. UE, you insured.
It's the toughest team relay. And for the first time in the MasterChef kitchen.
You must keep a safe distance from each other.
Good evening. The AFL has released the next 4 rounds of the 2020 fixture. Our SA teams are sacrificing for the greater good early in the season, but the AFL has warned Victorian clubs they could head into hubs later on if borders remain closed.
The West Australian and South Australian clubs are doing the early heavy lifting, but the AFL has warned they won't be the only ones.
My sense is over the 16 weeks that teams, not just those 4 teams, but other teams are going to have to make sacrifices, and everyone's committed to that.
Which means some Victorian teams will head to an interstate hub to share the load if border restrictions aren't eased. The 4 WA and South Australian clubs are expected to stay in Queensland, even if measures change between now and the season's start.
The plan at the moment is certainly to leave them in Queensland for that period, and we need to create some certainty. What it does do, though, is we know that they're only there for the 4-week period if those regulations do change, and we can quickly move to scheduling them back in their home state.
So round 2 kicks off with Collingwood and Richmond and features the Hawks and Cats and the Showdown. Round 3 has Richmond hosting Hawthorn on a Thursday night, with the Lions hosting the Eagles at the Gabba on Saturday. The Swans host the Dogs at the SCG to kick off round 4. The Giants welcome the Magpies the following night, and there's another big Queensland hub match, with Port Adelaide playing West Coast. Richmond travels to Queensland to play West Coast to start round 5 again on a Thursday night. Collingwood and Essendon feature Friday night, while Hawthorn plays its 2nd consecutive Sunday night match against the Giants as part of an AFL experiment.
This is a real opportunity to trial some things. It works, or has worked in round 1 without crowds. The question would be, if we do have the ability for crowds to come back at some stage during the season, or certainly next year, does it still work in every market? I'm not sure.
And the AFL hasn't given up on crowds at the footy this year in some form.
Any opportunity to have fans attend games, and I'm sure clubs would love to find a way to reward members or fans if they're smaller groups, we'll certainly embrace.
Rob Borders for 10 News First.
So with a Saturday night round 2 showdown locked and loaded, the players now know exactly what to aim for, and with contact training back on the agenda for the first time today, there was no holding back.
No prizes for guessing who took charge of Adelaide's first full contact session. With Rory Sloane barking directions, the senior players were the ones going hardest in a tough 2.5 hours of bash and crash. Being knocked down by Tom Lynch didn't sit well with Daniel Talia. Unfortunately, Chase Jones copped the retribution.
I didn't mean to get him, but I think I winded the young fella, so I think he's all right, but yeah, it's footy.
Tom Doedee and Taylor Walker went toe-to-toe as bodies clashed for the first time in over 2 months.
Fogg was loving it. Sloaney's putting his hand up. He's a maniac. He was trying to run through everyone and just up and about, like he usually is. And then Tex was really bubbly as well today. I think he loves bashing and crashing everyone.
With round 2 just 3 weeks away, all teams will be smashed on the track just to get back into the swing of things.
We've got no other option, really, do we? Every team's in the same boat, and I think we might be a bit underdone in terms of body position and sort of those little skills that you get over a couple of weeks, but everyone's going to be in the same position.
Yeah, they might be a bit scratchy in the early stages and the early games, but I think as a coaching group, on the back of what they've showed last week and where we know they'll get to in the next couple of weeks, so we've got to be confident they'll be ready to go.
Power players were still training in smaller groups today, saving their first full squad session for Wednesday. The contact was a welcome addition, giving some a chance to fully test their injuries.
Just talking to him now, Ollie's got through his first contact session since he did his shoulder, which is fantastic. He'll progress over the coming weeks like all players.
Max Burford for 10 News First.
Geelong recruit Jack Stephen has returned to training for the first time since being hospitalised with a stab wound. The former Saint only completed light duties on day one, but says he's feeling healthy and is keen to push for selection once again.
Little more than a week after presenting at the Alfred Hospital with a stab wound, Jack Stephen was back on the comeback trail and in good spirits.
Yeah, I'm fine. So just looking forward to getting back out there and mucking around.
Everyone seemed to be smiling. The boys loved it, having you back.
I think so. You'd have to ask them, but I liked being back out there. So it's good to see them.
The 30-year-old former Saint didn't break a sweat on day one, but they were slow steps in the right direction.
No doubt the last few days have been pretty tough for him from a personal level, so it's nice to be able to have, like us, having a bit of purpose getting back into the football club.
Now, as to whether the four-time St Kilda best and fairest winner will be fit for round 2 of the AFL season, that is still up in the air, but he hasn't closed the door on that completely. Give me a chance for round 2, mate? Look.
I don't know. I just walked laps today, so hard to really tell, but we'll wait and see.
And after years of lobbying from the coach, the Cats received a fixture-free kick from the league this morning, with all home games to be played at Kardinia Park.
They can look forward to hosting some teams down there that they haven't hosted for quite some time, like Hawthorn.
Nice to get some big Victorian clubs down to Geelong who probably... I haven't played Hawthorn down here in my time. I'm not sure when the last game was.
It was back in 2006. Nick Butler for 10 News First.
Jason Gillespie would be an ideal Redbanks coach, according to Alex Carey. The Sacker is waiting on the findings of an external review before appointing a new boss, with the Strikers coach already a favourite amongst the players.
A sight seldom seen in South Australia, with a star-studded Redback squad all together for pre-season.
We get to spend probably 6 to 8 to 10 weeks together as a group, and I think that's going to be really strong in the push to playing some better cricket for South Australia and hopefully push to play in Shield finals.
Still without a coach, Alex Carey has plenty of experience playing under frontrunner Jason Gillespie, both with the Strikers and Sussex in county cricket.
He's well loved in both teams and everywhere he goes, so he would fit in really well. Here in South Australia, is obviously a South Australian legend.
The Redbacks are waiting on the completion of an external review led by Australian great Mike Hussey before naming a new coach.
I think we'll probably look at wrapping it up in the next few weeks. We now that the group's back together in smaller numbers, we will need a head coach pretty soon.
Cricket and footy pre-seasons don't usually cross over, but Carey revealed he's been training with some of the Crows players during the break.
We've just been doing a few running sessions. That's about all we can do, and just having some chats. You know, they're potentially going away in a hub situation, and that's similar to going on tour.
Carey's pre-season may still be cut short, with July's limited overs tour of England still a possibility of going ahead.
Pakistan are looking to travel over there before us. Fingers crossed. I love pre-seasons, but I don't mind playing cricket too.
Josh Money for 10 News First.
Not far away from the Redbacks, a group of Adelaide United boys were doing some fitness work of their own at the Uni Loop. Out of contract captain Michael Jakobsen and his teammates still without a head coach or a return to work date. A-League players have been reportedly asked to take an 80% pay cut in order to compete the remainder of the season. Andrew Bogut has quit the Sydney Kings. The 35-year-old former NBA champion stressed on social media that his basketball career is not over, but he says he's taking a break because the future does not look too clear, most notably in regards to sporting leagues worldwide. This is by no means a retirement note, simply saying any concrete decisions are too hard to be made at this point in time.
Andrew speaks for himself, and what he said today is 100% accurate. He's still working through where he is and what his options are and what he'd like to do, and has he still got that itch that needs to be scratched.
When he does return, Bogut will become a part owner of the Kings. With the Olympics postponed until 2021, one last hurrah for the Boomers must also be in doubt. When you're battling to use a brolly, it's probably a good indication that isn't going to be your day. First, Clint Bowyer was forced to dodge the rain, then run from the flames.
Oh, 14's in the wall.
Oh, Bowyer has hit it hard. I'm going to go somewhere and take this thing off, find somewhere I can find a cold beer. I'm out of here.
Hopefully he did raise that beer in toast for Brad Keselowski, who took out NASCAR's longest ever race. The Belarusian Premier League has enjoyed a surge in popularity in recent months, given it has been one of the few competitions to continue during the pandemic. And those new fans are unlikely to forget their first cup final, which was won in the 121st minute. The 1-0 triumph was Bates' fourth cup success, but probably the first one anyone outside of Belarus has taken notice of. It certainly caught our attention, so much so, the extra time winner can also score our play of the day. Time in the sun for the Belarusian Premier League, Beck.
Catch a bit later on. Thank you, Will. A warm treats ahead, but there's some uncomfortable weather to get through first. Kate Fairbairn has all of the details for you next. Plus, the big move was a tall order. So how did Kimya get her way to stay put in Adelaide?
Comedian Troy Kinney's bringing the laughs next on The Project.
Tonight, the race is on. At 7:30, it's MasterChef's toughest team relay ever.
Here they come!
Then the race continues, but are they paying attention?
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Can we get Glenn's carer around?
Be a part of Tan's must-see Monday race.
We're coming to you live from the scene. Tell us what you've got there. Toilet paper?
Nah, just dinner stuff.
Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that during these unprecedented times.
Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low.
Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi. Good. Different.
When a cold disturbs your family's sleep, Vicks Vapor Rub relieves cough, nasal congestion, muscle aches and pains. They sleep, you sleep. Vicks Vapor Rub relieves 4 cough and cold symptoms.
The espresso capsule from L'OR, the aluminium capsule designed to fit your Nespresso machine. Discover L'OR capsules and be captivated by a gold standard espresso.
When cold and flu symptoms strike, a kiss can make them feel better. But for effective relief through the night, there's Nurofen for children. Starts to reduce fever from 15 minutes and lasts for up to 8 hours. Nurofen for children.
Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer. Receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card when you sign up to a new service on the Optus $65 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months with 80 gigabytes of data for use in Oz. That's right. Sign up to a new service on the $65 per month 24-month Optus SIM-only plan and you'll receive a $700 Harvey Norman gift card. Offer ends June 30. New services only, not available with other offers. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
Go! We miss you. Come for dinner. We're getting Hungry Jack's delivered.
Feed the family. Get Hungry Jack's Flame Grilled Whoppers delivered now on Uber Eats or Menulog. Hungry Jack's Delivery. The burgers are better.
Don't miss our biggest sale yet. It's Bridgestone Select's mega sale. 4th tyre free on big Bridgestone brands and car and SUV tyres to suit most vehicles. Plus cashback on jeweller. You're always in safe hands at your local Bridgestone Select.
Service is so good, I signed up my mum.
Another real review from a happy Aussie Broadband customer. With thousands of 5-star reviews, an award-winning NBN network and all Australian support, you'll want to introduce us to your parents too. Aussie Broadband. Can't beat feedback.
At Bunnings, we've got some great craft bundles to help you keep busy while you're safe at home. Simply check out the projects online, order over the phone using our DIY hotline, and we'll bundle up everything you need. We'll then deliver it to your door.
One of Adelaide Zoo's most popular residents is here to stay after plans for a change of scenery were halted. Even after months of training, Kimya the giraffe simply refused to enter the transport trailer that was due to take her to Monarto Safari Park. Instead, the zoo will bring in another giraffe to keep her company and renovate the old elephant yard to give them some more space.
Over the longer term, we've got the options of expanding that further, which would see giraffes heading down towards the river and then right along the riverfront over the next period of time.
Her new companion is yet to be decided, but will likely come from Monarto Safari Park. We're only a week out from winter. Kate Fairbairn, it sure felt like it today.
Yeah, Beck, it was another very cold day in Adelaide, and it's actually been our coldest pair of days all year, so not very nice to be outside. So instead I found myself a nice cosy spot inside Wilmot's Pantry, where they're now reopened for customers who want to take a seat and enjoy a cup of coffee, or in my case maybe a cheese plate while you're picking up some groceries on your way home. Tonight's weather photo was taken by Dylan Cotton at the Adelaide Botanic Garden over the weekend, where the ground is covered in autumn leaves. In Adelaide, it was very chilly this morning. Our low was just 4 degrees in the city, and today our top was 14.7 degrees at 2 this afternoon. Very chilly. Right now, just 12. Around the suburbs today, it was cold throughout, with tops of 14 degrees in Elizabeth, Murray Bridge and Noarlunga, 15 in Glenelg and just 12 degrees in Mount Barker. Across the state overnight, it hit 0 in Roxby Downs. Today it got to 17 degrees in Ceduna, 16 in Port Augusta and Whyalla, 15 was the top in Port Pirie and 13 degrees through the Clare Valley. Parts of the south were cold overnight too. Keith hit 0. Today it reached 16 degrees in Renmark, 14 in Port Lincoln and 13 degrees in the Barossa, Kingscote and in Naracoorte. Interstate last night brought wild weather in Perth, where they had a 1 in 10-year storm, and today it eased for light showers. Sydney and Melbourne got to 16 degrees and Brisbane was warm at a top of 25. On the satellite photo, thick cloud is stretching across Western Australia into the west of our state, but it's not bringing us any rain. An intense low pressure system is sitting south of WA, and that brought those storms south of Perth, but tomorrow it's slipping further south, so it won't have the same impact in South Australia, but it will generate some rain over the next couple of days. Around the country tomorrow, sunny for Brisbane, showers will ease in Sydney, becoming sunny in Melbourne with a top of 18 and another wet day in Perth. In South Australia, there'll be morning frost in central and eastern parts of the state. There's a chance of showers in Ceduna. It should reach 18 degrees in Port Pirie, 17 degrees in Roxby Downs, 16 in Maitland and 14 in Clare. There's also a chance of showers in Port Lincoln and Kingscote, a top of 18 degrees for Port Lincoln, 17 for Victor Harbour and 15 degrees in Nooryootpa, with a strong wind warning for the west central, south central and lower southeast coast. On local waters, seas will increase to 1.5 to 2.5 metres during the morning. Around the suburbs, slightly warmer tomorrow, tops of 17 degrees in Elizabeth, Glenelg and Noarlunga and 18 in Murray Bridge. In Adelaide, cooling off to 8 degrees overnight, and then tomorrow it will be mostly sunny in the morning with cloud building during the day, ahead of a chance of showers in the afternoon and the evening, a top of 17 degrees. Looking ahead, tops of 17 degrees again on Wednesday and Thursday, with showers on Wednesday and a slight chance of a morning shower on Thursday, but then Friday's looking good, sunny and 19 degrees. Well, if tonight's weather location has got you feeling hungry, stay watching at 10 News First tonight. We've got a MasterChef code word ready for you, and that could win you a year's worth of groceries from Coles. Beck, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Kate. Serious questions are being raised this hour after astonishing claims surfaced surrounding the carer at the centre of the probe into Anne-Marie Smith's death. Horror in the suburbs with an elderly man stabbed on his morning walk. And the easing of restrictions on a range of South Australian businesses has been fast-tracked to next Monday. Chloe Boris is at the Havelock Hotel. Chloe, what does it mean for pubs?
Well, patrons can have a drink without getting a meal as long as they're sitting down from Monday. It'll be 20 people per area. So here at the Havie, they could seat 20 people outside, another 20 here in the front bar, more in the restaurant and upstairs, as long as they don't have more than 80 people in total. That'll be the same for all venues allowed to reopen as part of stage 2 on Monday. So gyms, beauty salons and cinemas, which have been shut down since March. As for outdoor sports, contact training will begin and non-contact competitions. Indoor sports will have to wait until the 25th of June, although who knows at this rate, restriction lifting keeps getting brought forward. Stage 2 was originally scheduled for the 8th of June. It was brought forward to the 5th to make the most of the long weekend, and now it's coming into effect on Monday the 1st.
It's been nuts. The phones have been going off non-stop. We're trying to figure out ways so we're all ready to go on Monday. The chefs have been on the phone. We're cleaning up the pub just so we can accommodate as many people as possible.
This is only possible because of the continuing very, very good results in terms of no or low cases and, of course, the high level of testing.
Now, it's important to note that businesses will be obliged to fill out compliance paperwork and have it ready to present to police officers if they do come in for a spot check. That paperwork is available on the sa.gov.au website.
Thank you, Chloe. Revelations in Parliament today. The carer of disabled woman Anne-Marie Smith, whose death is now being investigated, had been banned from a previous government care agency. Hannah Ford joins us. Hannah, it was a day of explosive evidence.
Yes, Beck, the community has been wanting answers over this sickening and shocking case since the death of Anne-Marie Smith was declared a major crime 10 days ago. Now, finally, some details are starting to drop. A parliamentary committee today heard from the Department Head of Human Services, who unexpectedly revealed Anne Smith's carer had previously been sacked by another government agency for allegedly stealing from her vulnerable clients, but that was never reported to police. She also said Rosemary Mayoni didn't have the proper qualifications to care for Miss Smith over the 6 years she did, only applying for and receiving government clearance 2 weeks after Miss Smith's death. The department today admitted that the 54-year-old was failed by the system over a number of years.
And we're looking carefully at our records to identify how we could have better supported Ms Smith and whether we had any flags in the system related to her sole carer, Rosemary or Rosa Maria Mayoni.
I've basically heard the full details of this when I've come out of Cabinet today.
It's only come to light as a result of the committee hearing today. We don't know what else the public's not being informed about this, and we don't know what else other details the government knew or didn't know.
Now, police, the coroner, the state and federal governments have all launched inquiries into this shocking case. Beck.
Thank you, Hannah. A man charged with murdering another man at a notorious Gilberton public housing estate has been remanded in custody. The man, whose identity is suppressed, was arrested hours after the 63-year-old victim was assaulted at the Mellor Court Unit complex. He appeared in court this afternoon. Neighbours have complained for years about violence and crime in the estate.
We have district policing teams that have been tasked with the role of going in to look at what the underlying factors are that we could potentially address that would stop repeated attendances by police patrols.
The state government has committed to a $2.8 million upgrade of security at Mellor Court. Police are investigating what appears to be a random stabbing attack on a 79-year-old man out for a morning walk at Findon. He's told officers it was about 6:30 when he was struck on the back by a stranger along Findon Road. The suspect ran off and the victim only realised he'd been stabbed when he got home. The struggling tourism industry stands to benefit from the Morrison government's $60 billion JobKeeper blunder. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has ruled out expanding the eligibility criteria to include all casuals and some visa holders, but he says the federal government will look at providing additional support for industries that will take longer to reopen.
The tourism sector could be one sector that's going to be in need of further support, and that's what we will look at.
A review of the program is set down for next month. After waiting years, the Catholic Church has sworn in Adelaide's new Archbishop. The service was streamed online and watched by thousands of worshippers who weren't allowed to attend.
An event that would normally attract more than 2,000 people today looked very different. Only a handful of worshippers allowed inside St Francis Xavier's Cathedral as Adelaide's newest Catholic leader was sworn in. Hailing from New South Wales, Archbishop Patrick O'Regan was welcomed in front of about 30 people, each keeping a safe social distance. The new Catholic leader of Adelaide says he wants to get to know the city, learn the history and work out what contribution contribution he can make. He also plans to get amongst nature. He is taking over from Archbishop Philip Wilson, who resigned in July 2018, although there has been fill-ins. The end of Archbishop Wilson's time was marred in controversy. In 2018, he was convicted of concealing child sex abuse in the 1970s, but it was later overturned. Archbishop O'Regan says only time will tell whether the church's sex abuse scandals will have done irreparable damage.
That's a difficult question, because I don't know. Because, you know, we've got to wait till the verdict of history to see what that might be.
Given the restrictions, today's service was live streamed on the internet with 6,000 people logging on to watch. From tomorrow, Mass services will resume 5 sessions a day, but only 10 worshippers will be allowed at a time, and Sunday Mass will continue to be live streamed.
Thank you, Caroline. A group of Wingfield workers has more than 1 million reasons to celebrate tonight. Tiffany Warren explains.
The winning ticket was bought from this On The Run servo here at Peterhead. The $1.2 million prize will be split between 11 colleagues who have been playing together in a syndicate for around 12 years. The company wanted to remain anonymous, but the syndicate leader says she realised they had a winner in Saturday's Cross Lotto yesterday morning. She didn't want to get everyone's hopes up until it was confirmed today. Other workers in the Wingfield area wish they were as fortunate.
Very lucky. Wasn't me. Wish it was. Good luck to the fellas.
We're down the bottom end of the world down here, and it would be so fantastic for someone down here that's one a factory worker to have some extra money.
About winning $1 million, that'd be pretty cool, but chances of happening is highly unlikely, but, you know, pay off the house.
The rest of the staff were told the good news in a meeting this morning. Most of the winners will be using their share to pay off mortgages and go on holidays.
Thank you, Tiff. There's a mighty clean-up underway in WA after a rare and dangerous storm pummeled the state's coast. The once-in-a-decade weather event saw cyclonic winds hit more than 3,000 kilometres of coastline, tearing apart buildings and resulting in widespread flooding and coastal erosion. Up next, Donald Trump spends a second day on the golf course as snaps of Americans partying across the US surface. Plus, the AFL's open to crowds, but what about the Premier? His response on Adelaide Oval is next.
Where the $51 million raised during the bushfire crisis by celeb Celeste Barber will be spent. Plus, comedian Troy Kinney joins us for a laugh next.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all, we're all in this together.
When your throat is swollen or painful, standard lozenges may not be enough. Call on Strepsils Extra. Its advanced formula goes beyond our standard lozenges and numbs pain fast.
Get Strepsils Extra at Chemist Warehouse now.
JB Hi-Fi's Big Screen Bonanza is on. Check out the hottest deals on big screen TVs 75-inch and above. Like a bonus $250 JB coupon with new release Samsung TVs. And free delivery and Walmart installation on LG. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
If you're struggling to balance work, life and family, you need to shake it up. Ensure Health Shakes help you get the nutrition you need to help your body build strength from within, with a prebiotic and antioxidants to support a healthy immune system, calcium and protein for muscle and bone health. Put more balance in your work-life balance. Shake it up with Ensure.
We're all in this together.
Your family and mine working side by side to support South Aussie businesses.
Show your support for local brands by shopping for them at Drake's, your South Aussie family-owned supermarket.
We all really appreciate your support.
We're ready to get back out there again. As we do, it's up to all of us to stay COVID safe. Anytime you leave your house, wash your hands regularly. Keep physical distance where you can. Have the COVID Safe app on your phone. And importantly, if you're feeling sick, you need to stay at home and get tested. Together, we can reduce the risk of a second wave. Stay COVID-free and do the 3.
Authorised by the Chief Medical Officer, Canberra.
Adelaide Exchange Jewellers Revival Sale. You won't buy better, with discounts up to 30% on most jewellery and weighted gold from just $40 a gram. It's time to shine and put some sparkle back into your life. Adelaide Exchange Jewellers.
Darkness and daylight, pleasure like a smile.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt Excellence. The finest dark chocolate crafted to perfection by the Lindt Master Chocolatier. Excellence from Lindt.
The good old MasterChef relay.
It'll be the toughest team relay ever attempted.
We're doing 2 dishes instead of 1.
You must keep a safe distance from each other at all times.
It's not going to be easy.
Oh my God. I can't believe I've done this. I've cut my little finger. Oh, this is not good. This is not good.
The toughest team relay. 7:30 tonight on 10.
And MasterChef's greatest ever dish is coming.
Boris Johnson is refusing to sack his top advisor, despite Dominic Cummings admitting to breaking COVID-19 restrictions. The Prime Minister is insisting Cummings acted responsibly and correctly when he drove hundreds of kilometres to his parents' house so they could look after his children.
On looking at the very severe childcare difficulties that presented themselves to Dominic Cummings and his family, I think that what they did was totally understandable.
Cummings is equally unapologetic. The United States is a day or two away from hitting the grim milestone of 100,000 coronavirus deaths. Donald Trump was spotted on the golf course for a second day as more Americans flouted restrictions.
Memorial Day long weekend in America, and this is what social distancing apparently looks like in some parts of the United States. Thousands packed pool parties in the Ozarks for the unofficial start of summer, and there wasn't a mask in sight. In Daytona, police had to break up an impromptu street party.
There's 2 people out the sunroof throwing money.
Beaches were busy right up and down both coasts.
There was thousands of people. I mean, shoulder to shoulder, it felt like.
Thousands lined up at this Texas water park that reopened, defying state orders, and many churches across the country also breached restrictions after Donald Trump deemed them essential.
Church is essential.
The president was out golfing for a second day as the US death toll nears 100,000. I care, do you? Read one protester's sign outside. In an interview,
"They're spying on me. They're spying on me." And that's not being paranoid, that's being fact.
the president offered no signs of mourning.
Would I shut it down again? No, because we understand it now much better. We didn't know anything about it. It was
new.
You
mean you would not have, in retrospect, shut down the...
I would have done exactly, we've done the exact moves that I would have done.
And on the national holiday to remember those who served, this Vietnam vet cried as he watched a socially distant parade given in his honour.
It was amazing. I mean, even though I'm sick, that they thought so much of me to come down and do that pass-through for me.
58,000 Americans died in the Vietnam War. In 4 months, this virus has already killed so many more. Eamon Ashton-Atkinson for 10 News First, New York.
Israel's PM Benjamin Netanyahu has fronted court defiant and combative on the first day of his trial for corruption. He was met by supporters and those demanding his resignation at the courthouse. In the courtroom, he refused to sit until the media had been sent out. He allegedly accepted gifts in exchange for favours given to businessmen and media owners. Goodings is back. It's an important day for the AFL.
Yeah, Beck, we know what footy's going to look like. The next 4 rounds of AFL games have been locked in, with an Adelaide Oval showdown on June 13 to kick things off for the SA clubs. After that, the plan is for them to head to Queensland and into a hub for 3 weeks.
While the Crows were throwing themselves into day one of contact training, the AFL was confirming Showdown 48 will be the next game they play.
It is here. There you go. Yeah, so that's awesome. It's awesome for both teams, and it's going to be a huge game. Return, round 2 against Power. What better way to return?
Well, it's a good little first up hit out with contact side of things. So it's going to be pretty brutal against your hometown rivals.
The 4 SA and WA clubs are expected to then remain in Queensland for rounds 3 to 5, even if border restrictions are loosened.
The plan at the moment is certainly to leave them in Queensland for that period. We need to create some certainty. What it does do, though, is we know that they're only there for the 4-week period if those regulations do change.
But we know moving forward that we might have to go into a hub in Queensland, and if that's for 3 or 4 weeks, we're excited about that as well, because we're excited about just getting back into playing football and being around each other again.
The AFL acknowledges our teams are doing the early heavy lifting. Victorian clubs could be forced into an interstate hub later on if restrictions remain.
My sense is over the 16 weeks that teams, not just those 4 teams, but other teams are going to have to make sacrifices, and everyone's committed to that.
The league hasn't given up on crowds being allowed in later this year, although the SA Premier wouldn't say if there's a plan for that at Adelaide Oval.
We would like to get South Australia back to a more normal state as quickly as possible, but that will just really be dependent on how we go in terms of the number of new cases and also high level of testing.
The 4 SA and WA teams have been assigned 1 home game each in the 3 weeks up in Queensland. Max Burford for 10 News First.
Richmond has been given a reminder to be cautious as contact training returns. As the Tigers got back to tackling and training as a group today, the players were told to keep in mind the need to avoid injury before the season restart.
We need to do some sort of contact, but we obviously don't want to be smashing each other. We know that the fact that the season is shorter and backing up is going to be really important, that we can't go out there and smash blokes into the ground.
There's already an injury worry for the Tigers, with Basher Hurley no certainty to face the Magpies in round 2 because of a calf complaint. Alex Carey is still hopeful Australia's tour of England will go ahead as planned in July. The West Indies and Pakistan are due to tour England next month, which would give the Aussies an idea of whether their plans can go ahead. For now, Carey is locking in for pre-season with SA.
Fingers crossed. I love pre-seasons, but I don't mind playing cricket too. So if we get to go over to England, later in the winter, that'd be a great result.
Carey wants the T20 World Cup to go ahead as well, but the proposed start in October now looks unlikely, with the IPL exploring a similar start date. 6-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady does have a chink in his armour after all. The star quarterback had a round to forget in golf's Champions for Charity event, although he did manage to produce one all-star moment.
A 4-ball for the ages. Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning pitted against Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. There were no caddies, but if there were...
do you bring Eli? Could do that. You bring Nick Foles? Maybe. Cheap shot.
The ribbing was relentless all day. Brady butchered his start. He struggled off the tee.
Yikes. Hey, when's football season start? It's about a month.
Proving he's human after all, and the world relished every minute.
God dang it.
While Brady went bush, Peyton proved pretty handy, making 2 birdies on the front 9 as he and Woods went 3 up through 6.
Bam! Oh, Peyton Manning. Partner.
It was the first time in 3 months anyone's got a look at Tiger on the course, with the PGA Tour set to resume in a fortnight. He didn't miss a fairway and was just as sharp with his tongue.
I've seen Phil do some odd things before, but having teed up mark that ball has got to be up there.
Want me to
use
one of my U.S. Open medals?
Do you have one?
Huh?
Do you have any? I got some silver ones. Do you have any of the gold ones?
He didn't have it all his own way.
Did you feel when I sucked the energy toward me, Tiger?
And it was Brady who had the last laugh when Brooks Koepka pledged $100,000 if the star quarterback made par on the front 9. Brady did what Brady does best.
You made it!
But it came at a cost.
Change pants or? I split my pants.
You got so excited that you split your pants after making that?
Well, there's so much torque in that swing.
Oh, gotcha.
Woods and Manning finished 1 up, but the result never really mattered, with $20 million US raised for COVID-19 relief. Katie Price for 10 News First.
Splitting his pants and hacking it everywhere. It's good to see Tom Brady's human. Because if he kept hitting shots like that, everything would get stuffed. That's ridiculous.
Thank you. We'll catch you tomorrow. This wintry blast is set to continue, but the outlook has a warm day in there. A comprehensive look at the weather is next.
Want to win a year's supply of groceries thanks to Coles? Then grab tonight's code word and head to the 10play win page to enter, and you could be a winner. Plus, be watching MasterChef 7:30 tonight for the bonus code word to double your chances.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
You wash loads, but do you ever wash your washing machine? Every load leaves behind grime and, what's that smell? PinoClean Washing Machine Cleaner removes 99.9% of germs, leaving it clean and fresh for longer. It's not clean, unless it's PinoClean.
Catch the Supercars stars taking on the world's best drivers and tracks in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Qualifying from 6 p.m, racing from 7. Live every Wednesday where you get your motorsport fix.
What if I get coronavirus?
How do I do my rehab now?
Why is it so hard to get out of bed? COVID-19 is impacting us all differently, which is why we've introduced Medibank COVID-19 Health Assist. With direct access to hundreds of healthcare experts, eligible members can receive health advice and support from their homes at no extra cost. Visit medibank.com.au to see how we're providing better support for our members.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your dinner with some of the key ingredients for delicious beef and thyme burgers, like Coles brioche buns, 4-pack, just $2.70 every day, and Coles frozen chips 1 kilo pack, down to $1.90. With Coles beef and thyme burgers on Mix Match and Save, any of these 2 packs for just $12. For more great recipes and weekly specials, sign up for the digital catalogue at coles.com.au. Coles, good things, great value.
Muscle and osteopain can really tie you down. That pain is caused by inflammation. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteo and muscle pain for up to 8 hours. Break free with Nurofen.
Australians of all ages are choosing Light and Easy. Light and Easy can even assist those on aged care home care packages. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having healthy meals delivered, call us on 13 15 12.
Don't miss a moment. New by Solven Duo Syrup is a 2-in-1 formula traditionally used to soothe an irritated throat and relieve an associated dry cough. By Solven Duo. Moments uninterrupted. Available at selected retailers.
Up next, a ruling on where millions raised by comedian Celeste Barber's bushfire appeal can legally be spent. Funny man Troy Kinney's dropping by with his grand plan to make Monday nights even better, and how Tracy's MasterChef dream was foiled by the fish dish from hell. The project next.
Been a cold start to the week, but Kay Freeban, it is about to warm up for us.
Yeah, Beck, luckily it's about to warm up because we've just had our coldest pair of days in Adelaide all year, with temperatures about 5 degrees colder than average right around South Australia. In here though, it's lovely and warm. Tonight we've popped into Wilmot's Pantry on Kensington Road, which has been keeping a lot of people in the eastern suburbs stocked up over the last couple of months, and it's just opened its doors to sit down for a coffee or a glass of wine. Well, tonight's weather photo was taken at Hallett Cove at the Conservation Park. On the beautiful coastal walk, the area known as the Sugarloaf, which is most Instagrammed place on the track for sure, and that's where Bernadette snapped this pic. In Adelaide this morning it was especially cold, just 4 degrees in the city, and today our top temperature was 14.7 at 2 this afternoon, and currently it's only 11 degrees in the city. On the satellite photo, there is plenty of cloud stretching across Western Australia, but it's not bringing South Australia any rain as it pushes through. An intense low pressure system is sitting south of WA, and last night that brought Perth a once-in-10-year storm. Tomorrow it's slipping further south, so it won't have the same impact on South Australia. Around the country tomorrow, showers will ease for Sydney, becoming sunny in Melbourne with another wet day in Perth. In South Australia, there'll be morning frost in central and eastern parts of the state. There's a chance of showers in Ceduna, while further south there's also a chance of showers in Port Lincoln and Kingscote. Tops of 17 degrees in Renmark, Victor Harbour and Keith, and 16 degrees in Mount Gambier. There's a strong wind warning for the west central, south central and lower southeast coasts, while on local waters seas will pick up to 2.5 metres. Around the suburbs, slightly warmer tomorrow. In Adelaide down to 8 overnight. Tomorrow mostly sunny in the morning with a chance of showers in the afternoon and the evening, and a top of 17 degrees. Looking ahead, tops of 17 degrees again on Wednesday and Thursday, with showers on Wednesday and a slight chance of a morning shower on Thursday, but Friday's looking good, sunny and 19 degrees, and Beck then more showers for the weekend.
Thank you, Kate. Make sure you stock up. That's Adelaide's 10 News First and enjoy your evening. Take care. Good night.
Tonight, a ruling on where millions raised by comedian Celeste Barber's bushfire appeal can legally be spent.